Welcome inside episode 503 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. And as we head into the weekend, the Senators are about to play the Montreal Canadiens for the first time this season.
Yeah, about time they get to face the lowly Habs. And Ross, some interesting news at practice. Josh Norris is on the ice. Dylan Gambrell back in regular practice. And Colin White, how's he going to fit into this roster?
We're about to find out the line combinations. We'll share those with you. We'll reminisce on the Hamburglar, as Andrew Hammond is likely going to be the starting goalie in that game. Wow, between him, Chris Wideman, and Mike Hoffman, it's going to be quite a look in the rearview mirror for the Ottawa Senators tomorrow night. And the minor team, the Sens, they've got two big ones against Montreal's farm team, the Laval Rockets. So we'll preview all that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Friday, February 25th. And Pilsy, I'm ready for Sens hockey.
Yes, it's been too long since Tuesday. Even though we're coming off a win, Ross, let's get back into it here. And I'm fired up for this game. Like you mentioned in the intro, finally, the Sens are seeing the Habs here. And kind of couldn't come at a worse time, really. They've been god-awful all season, and now they get the new coach bump, and their top players are firing on all cylinders. So this could be an interesting matchup, that's for sure.
I know. You look at that big-time losing streak. They won 8 of their first 48 games. 49 games. Oh, my goodness. And now, since then, they've won 4 straight, and their wins are getting more and more confident. They had an overtime win to lead it off, then a shootout win. Then they beat the Leafs 5-2, and now they're coming off a 4-0 shutout over the Buffalo Sabres. Now, asterisk, it's the Buffalo Sabres. We've seen the Sens smack them around like a rag doll. Shout out Zdeno Chara for setting the all-time defenseman games played record, and Brian McCabe still shaking when he hears the word rag doll. But what are you expecting from the Habs? I feel like it's just like when the Sens play the Leafs. You can throw the standings right out of the window. It'll be a battle, hey?
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with that. I think the key thing, and Marty St. Louis said it in one of his press conferences, is this team needs to learn how to have fun again. And now he's got the young guys fired up. It's really bringing a youthful energy to this team. I think they're having fun again. Like Nick Suzuki, one of his big lines from after the game was Cole Caulfield smiling again. Like apparently he hadn't been smiling much all year. So to have him having fun and scoring goals and playing up on that top line, which we'll get to, they're going to be playing with a lot of energy to start the game off. Now, can they handle a full 60 up against this hardworking, tough Senators team? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, Cole Caulfield certainly looks like a different player under Marty St. Louis, his favorite player growing up, pretty much the exact prototype that you'd expect. He's got 8 points in 4 games. Yeah. 4 of his 6 goals on the season are under Marty St. Louis. So that just shows you, or that's on the win streak. Has Marty St. Louis lost as head coach?
Yeah, they lost, I think, first 2 games.
Oh, okay. No, first 3. So okay. I guess at that point, you're just kind of getting into the rhythm and setting in what they want to do in practice. So by that account, then 6 of his 7 goals in the season is with St. Louis as a head coach, including a goal in the first game as well. So you know what? You got to give credit where it's due, and the Habs are clearly coming around right now. But what better time for Ottawa to face them when they're feeling good about their game as well, because Tim Stützle has goals in 3 straight games. He's playing well despite maybe not having the same line strength as some of these other young up-and-comers in the NHL. Now, that could change very soon as Colin White is slated to make his season debut. We spoke a bit about it yesterday, but it remains the story, especially as he's taking reps on the second power play unit. We know that could use all the help it can get, but where do you expect? And we're about to find out. We're third segment. We're going to get into what the line combinations are for Ottawa. Where are you hoping? Forget where you think. Where are you hoping Colin White plays on Saturday?
Well, I'm glad you made the distinction because, yeah, it's two separate things. I would say I'm hoping he's in a bottom six role just because it's a lot to ask of a guy. He missed training camp, hasn't played all year. Like, really, there's not a lot of expectation for Colin White in his first game. So why not ease him in? Get him on kind of a high energy line where guys can do a lot of the heavy lifting, like with a Kelly, with a Watson. Whether he plays center or wing, I think that'll be interesting. Preferably, I would get him on the wing, but it seems like, well, Gambrell is back, so I guess it doesn't necessarily mean he has to play center here. So I just want him in a bottom six role, just because I think putting him up there in the top six would be too much too soon.
Now, I remember having conversations with you about making Colin White a right winger even before the shoulder injury. So I feel like it's almost more natural now to just slide over there, play the wing. I mean, he's done it in the past at different levels, so why not, right?
Yeah, I think now that I'm kind of processing it, I would love to see a line of Kelly, Gambrell, and Colin White on that fourth line.
Right. So what, Watson up on the third line in that case?
Yeah, or I don't know. I guess you kind of want to keep Watson and Gambrell together, but DJ Smith has been using Watson quite a lot lately, so it wouldn't be surprising if he gets a little uptick in minutes and Colin White spends a little less time.
Everyone listening to this already knows what the line combos are, so we'll get back to it once we know, as the Senators just got on the ice at practice a couple minutes ago. Why not reminisce about the Hamburglar for a couple minutes before moving on, because that was special. 21-2, and it all started against the Montreal Canadiens. Andrew Hammond made 42 saves in a 4-2 victory at the Canadian Tire Center in the same crease that he will play in likely tomorrow. So, what better time to go back into our favorite memories from that run? Now, I'll let you start because I've got a couple that stand out big time.
Yeah, I feel like, Ross, if we had the time, you would just go through every game and give us the entire game sheet and and every
highlight
single
reel saves.
Outcome that happened. But for me, the moment that sticks out to me the most is it was a win up against the Boston Bruins, and fans are throwing hamburgers on the ice, as was custom during the Hamburglar run. And Curtis Lazar, say what you want about him with his time in the Sens, but that guy always had a smile on his face, despite kind of getting tossed through the ringer and not having a lot of success here. And he just says, hey, you know what? I just played a full game. I'm kind of hungry. There's a bunch of hamburgers here. I could go for one. And he just scoops a hamburger off the ice and takes a couple bites. And my first question is, how are those hamburgers staying intact when they're getting tossed on the ice? Like, people must have been putting toothpicks in them. You know how restaurants, they put the toothpick through the club sandwich to hold it all together? That's got to be the only way, because by the time you toss that, it's all got to be falling apart unless it's got a good smush to it. So maybe they were good smushed hamburgers, but Curtis seemed to be enjoying them regardless.
I mean, they don't sell them at the arena, so
That's
better.
Yeah.
It had to have been smushed and it's been in his pocket for hours. That is got to be the wildest thing to be thrown on an ice. We've seen octopus, we've seen catfish,
rats in Florida,
but burgers.
Yeah, burgers is pretty weird. Definitely, it's weird.
I need to find a photo of burgers donning the ice in Ottawa, but that line was pretty key during that run. It was Pajot with Lazar and Condra. They were pretty much used as the shutdown line in that run.
Yep, and I mean, those are three good shutdown guys. Like Curtis Lazar, we were hoping there'd be more offense from him, but it never happened. And now that's kind of his role throughout the NHL since he's left Ottawa. So definitely, and I mean, Pajot, we all know what he can do, and there Erik Condra fits in nicely there.
Unbelievable. I'm looking at pictures of the rink staff literally picking up burgers off the ice in Ottawa. Like, you just can't make that stuff up. And that just shows again how Sens fans are able to have so much fun. And this was like a team that was 13 games out of the 13 points out of the playoffs when this Hamburglar run started. They needed an absolute miracle to happen, and they got it. That's like the cherry on top, is that they got it. And I have two favorites, but the first one is the fact that right after they win against Montreal, then they get another home win against the Florida Panthers. Hammond was again excellent in that game. Sorry, I'm kind of talking slow because I wanted to pull this up here. That's a live shot of full burger fest on the ice in Ottawa. But after those 2 games, they went out on a road trip. And this is not this year's California trip, where maybe it's not as difficult. The Sharks clearly fell off.
I mean, even that's not true, though. All 3 of those teams are performing way
the
above
Sharks
expectations.
have lost 7 in a row. The Sharks are done.
Yeah, but Dzingel hasn't fully popped off there yet, so just wait.
He got one up big time. He played his 400th NHL game last night in the same game that Chara played, game 16-52. But they went on that road trip in Anaheim, and then the next night in Los Angeles, and Andrew Hammond made a combined 60 saves for back-to-back shutouts. And that's when I started paying attention. Because before that, you're just like, okay, like, oh, you're watching the games, you're staying up late. I was in Halifax. The game started at 11 o'clock out west. And then I see those back-to-back shutouts. I was like, okay, now let's get into it.
That's like the old saying, like, you had me listening. Now you have my full attention.
This is when they had my full attention. That was me listening. Back-to-back shutouts. Then they go to San Jose, 3rd game in 4 nights. They're down 2-1 going into the 3rd period. They score 3 unanswered goals in the 3rd period. They win that game. 2 goals for Mike Hoffman, ironically, will be in the lineup for the other team tomorrow night. However, then after they win there, then they get their overtime, their shootout loss in Minnesota, a home game for Andrew Hammond. And you're like, oh, damn, is it over? No. They go to Winnipeg. He makes 35 saves. They come home. Okay, he keeps winning, obviously, 20 wins in 23 games. But the one game I got to go to was Easter weekend, and I think a lot of Sens fans will remember this one because I thought I mushed the Hamburglar. The Pittsburgh Penguins came to town. Sidney Crosby scores 10 seconds into the game. The Penguins are up 3-0 before I've had half a beer. They're up 2-0 5 minutes into the game. Then they score again. It's 3-0 going into the second period. Pajot gets a shorthanded goal midway through the second. I'm like, okay, if they can score early in the 3rd, I think they have a chance. Mark Stone scores 34 seconds into the 3rd period. Okay, they're good. They're good. They got this. Then Hoffman with the goalie pulled with less than 2 minutes left, and then skate, stick, Selly for Mark Stone, his 2nd of the game. They beat Pittsburgh, and at that point, there were only a couple games left. There were only 2 games left, both on the road. And you're like, okay, they probably still need to win both those games. And the only regulation loss for Andrew Hammond was against the Rangers. So I'm like, okay, there's 2 games left, but one of them is against the Rangers.
Yep.
What's he do? He goes out and gets another shutout. Like, just an unbelievable run of hockey. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again, Pilsy. I really don't.
There's no way. Yeah. Not even just as a Senators fan, like as a hockey fan, I don't think we'll ever see anything like this.
No. 13 games where his save percentage was .947 or better in the game. 13 of his 24 games. That's truly an incredible run, and I hope he gets lit up tomorrow because all good things must come to an end. But if you're the Ottawa Senators, that's what you're hoping for. All right, Lions are out at practice. There will be 1 reinsertion, it looks like, tomorrow. So of the 3 names you mentioned, only 1 guy is making it into the lineup. But before we get to that, Pilsy, you've got a word from one of our favorite sponsors over at Built Bar.
Yep, I love Built Bar, guys, and it's looking like it's going to be a powder day here at Blue Mountain. So what am I going to do to get myself fueled up? I'm grabbing a Built Bar because they're the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. And there's lots of different products. They've got Built Puffs. Those are like the marshmallow filling ones. So if you love that, you got to try them out. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. How does that sound? How about protein-infused s'mores? That's something they could work on. Keep an eye on that. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite. Here are some of the yummy flavors. You got cinnamon churros. Love me some churros. Coconut marshmallow. Incredible, and so many more. So try those out, guys. They're low calorie, high protein. Replace those junk candy bars with these great protein bars. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. You don't want that. An average Built Bar has 130 calories, so much less than your candy bars, and you're getting the same flavors. At Built Bar, it's all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first. Then they figure out how to make it healthy. I like that. They got their priorities straight. And I don't know how they do it, but they pull it off every time. And you need to see this for yourself. Go to built.com. Use our promo code LOCK15. You know we're hooking you guys up. And you're going to get 15% off your next order. So go to built.com. Use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your next order. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, Pillsy. One final note on the Ottawa Senators, Andrew Hammond era.
I was going to say, I don't think you're done yet.
I know that save percentages have risen over the years. Like before, a 900 save percentage used to be great. And now it's like 920, 922 is where you're seeing the guys who are doing well. Do you know that Andrew Hammond has the second highest save percentage in Sens history?
Hasek is higher?
Yeah. Hasek's higher, 43 games. Andrew Hammond played 55 games, though. So you look at that first 23, the Hamburglar run, that was only half of the amount of games he played in Ottawa. We know the other half wasn't as good, to say the least. But for him to still be at number 2, that's crazy. Impressive. All right, we got some outrage at the lines. We're going to get mad at that in just a moment. But first, we want to give a quick Sens prospect roundup. And how did we forget? We had so much to get to yesterday. We had our Sens Central Citizen. By the way, watch that one on YouTube. Hilarious. We got a teacher in their natural habitat. He was at school, took the time. Joel, we appreciate him jumping on. You can check out every Sens Central Citizen. We know people love watching and learning about other Sens fans and how they became a fan and all of those stories. We've got a playlist on our YouTube channel, so you can go and click just which one, because we don't put the name in the title every time, but you can go there, find them all. You can also find all of our big interviews, our full episodes on our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate if you like and subscribe there. You can also find Locked On Senators free and available wherever you download your podcast. So hit us a like, a rating, all those things. They do go a long way for us. And don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up down there in the corner. Okay, now that the administrative stuff is behind us, Pillsy, Tyler Boucher, not Tyler Ennis, Tyler Boucher. I want to get that one going because Laleem's Martian had boots on the ground. And yeah, man, the sound of the thud that hit made in the corner on his second shift, and then to score on top of it, and then an assist on top of that. Guys, Tyler Boucher has arrived in the OHL.
Yeah, I'm glad he's confident enough to be throwing out hits, because if you recall, my game notes for Tyler Boucher was just chill. Just take it easy. Don't get hurt. This guy has no chill. And now that he's a little comfortable in his new environment, new team, new country, new league, I think that we're going to see a lot of success. And yeah, if you have any questions regarding Tyler Boucher, at Laleem's Martian would be happy to assist you.
Man, he must have had the battery draining on his phone because he was filming every single shift on Tyler Boucher. But what a relief for him, eh? Like, he must be feeling so much better. It had to have weighed on him. There's no way he didn't hear everyone saying how he was such a reach there. And then for him to start the way he did at college, no momentum going, and he was injured for all of last year. So now he's got a 2-game point streak. And I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think it's going to take time for him to figure it out, but it seems like he's already on track for that. And we're going to get to watch some exciting games. I'm so glad he's in the OHL, especially Ottawa. Like, that just worked out so perfectly, and I think it's best for everyone involved.
Yeah,
other than Boston.
Yeah, and his opponents, because he's already terrorized the Kingston Frontenacs, and now he'll have a chance this weekend to do the same against the Hamilton Bulldogs on Saturday and the Mississauga Steelheads on Sunday. Both of those are road games, so he will not be back at the CTC until March. And not even March 1st. They got another road game, but we know that once March 1st comes around, capacity limits are gone. So make sure you get out and support Tyler Boucher and the guys. They're actually on a huge road trip. I'm trying to find their next home game. It's not until at least, I mean, I'm still scrolling. We've got March 9th and I'm still not there. So they've got a bit of a road trip ahead of them. And we just hope that once they have, we got to plan our trip to Ottawa around Tyler Boucher getting there. And his next home game can confirm March 11th, Friday. So long time. That's actually the night the Belleville Senators are in Manitoba. I guess I could tease it. The Saturday game, March 12th, I'll be joining David Foote as the color commentator up in the booth. So I'm fired up to do that for Belleville Sens hockey. Okay, enough about us, but let's get into some Sens lineup. Before we touch on that, though, Pilsy, we got a quick note from our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is the #1 sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. Of course it is. And they've got all the best odds, totals, player performance props, and you can even bet on things like where the next coach that got fired, where they're going to land next. BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for every score, podcast, and news this season. And it's not just online. It's not just the odds. It's everything. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC odds, right to everything else. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Pilsy, the game starts on Saturday for your Ottawa Senators, and Colin White will make his season debut. But that didn't cue the outrage. No, it was how the decor lined up. Pilsy, Erik Brannstrom is back on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I don't really understand this. I mean, I know he hasn't exactly popped off while Chabot was gone, but other than showcasing Victor Mete, I don't understand why you would flip the two. They're basically
revenge game.
I guess, yeah, but they're basically the same type player, except the pressure's on for Branstrom right now. So maybe it's just a fact. DJ Smith wants to shake up the lineup a little bit, wants to give Branstrom a night off to take a look at things from above. I don't know. I'm pretty shocked about that one, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know what else you can really say, right? Brandy had an assist in the last game against Minnesota. The ice time, though, cut dramatically with Thomas Chabot back in the lineup. Like 2 games ago, we mentioned against Boston, played a career high 27-23, then 22-53 against the Rangers, and then only 14-30 against Minnesota. So clearly, his ice time is on a decline. Really no value if you're going to look to move him right now. So I don't know. It's a head scratcher for me too, especially when there ain't many guys on this team that can run a power play at the top like Erik Brannstrom. Like who on the back end is? Like we're going to Mete, I guess. Like that doesn't inspire much confidence in me.
Just keep Chabot out both units.
Honestly. But I loved seeing Chabot only play 24 minutes last game, right? He was fresh and you could really tell that in the way he played.
Yeah, I mean, anytime he's under 28, I think that's a light game for him.
So we haven't had a goalie announced, although we believe Matt Murray will get the start. I mentioned on yesterday's show he's 8-2 with a .930 save percentage against Montreal in his career. Anton Forsberg coming off a fantastic performance, though, against Minnesota. On defensive practice today, Chabot and Zub. Holden is back from his maintenance day. He's paired with Nikita Zaitsev, and then Victor Mete is alongside Josh Brown. Up front, Tim Stützle between Brady Tkachuk and Adam Gaudette. Nick Paul between Zach Sanford and Connor Brown. Chris Tierney between Alex Formenton and Tyler Ennis. And then, here we go, right where you want him, Pilsy, 4th line. Although he is at center, it's Colin White between Parker Kelly and Austin Watson.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That's the role that I was looking for him to play. I think that's going to help. Like having guys like Kelly and Watson on his line is going to help out a lot because those guys have no problem doing the dirty work that maybe you don't want Colin White getting too involved in right away. And I think he's going to play, I don't know, maybe 11, 12 minutes. That's perfect for your season debut this late into the game.
With Dylan Gambrell out, and he did skate on an extra line at practice, it was Gambrell, Norris, and Sabrin all skating together. Although I did leave Norris in the injury side because he's still wearing a no-contact jersey. Although Sabrin and Gambrell were in regular jerseys, so probably a little closer to a return. But do you think Colin White, we saw that he's on the second power play unit, do you think he could get some PK time as well?
Yeah, possibly. I think they'll probably keep him on the power play unit, just that for now, just to ease him in and to help him kind of have an advantage out there. I think the PK might be a little much for him. And this PK has been doing great without him. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I think they might just leave it at that.
While we have the Senators lines pulled up, who are you locked on tomorrow night?
I'm going to be locked on to... Let's go Tim Stützle. This is a big opportunity. He's going up against another young, rebuilding team. They're not really supposed to be rebuilding. They just suck. There's a difference between
highest
that.
payroll in the NHL.
Exactly. Yeah. So although you can't see me, I did the air quotes for rebuilding there. But let's keep
Here, you want to do it
Stutzla's
again?
rebuilding team. I like that. Let's keep the game. Is it goal streak or point streak? No, goal streak. Goal streak.
Oh, we got goals, bud.
Yeah, let's keep that going for Tim Stützle. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do it. And he's going up against probably Nick Suzuki head to head. So let's guys with. Hey, Suzuki is actually pretty sweet. I'll allow you to have your Caulfield's hate going on, but Nick Suzuki.
Not hate. It's banter.
Okay, sorry. Nick Suzuki, I'm a Guelph Storm guy. He was absolutely incredible for the Storm, and I think he's a great player. So I think that's going to be a good head-to-head battle, Stützle and Suzuki.
All right, there you have it. You got Tim Stützle. Hey, how do rebuilding teams return to form? How do they build?
Through the draft.
Well, you picked the Senator, who was highest picked in the draft, 3rd overall. I'm going to take the guy who was picked the next highest in Brady Tkachuk. And the reason I do is because that number 3 is also a part of this story. Because didn't the Habs have the 3rd overall pick that year?
Yeah. Who did they end up taking?
He's not.
And he's making an impact with them today, isn't he?
I mean, he must.
He's got to be.
He's making $6 million. You got to think so. Oh, wait. They let him walk?
Whoops.
And he has more goals.
I mean, wait, let him walk isn't quite accurate. They did get a decent package in return.
He would be leading their team in goals right now.
Yeah.
And he's playing on Carolina's 4th line.
Yeah. Whew.
Sucks to suck. So Brady Tkachuk is my locked-on player because whether Kotkaniemi's there or not, Brady Tkachuk will always have a little extra when he's playing against Montreal. I'm going to go so far as to say, now close your eyes and we're going to make this come. What do you say when you bring something to life?
You rebuild it.
No, when you're thinking about it so hard that you want it to happen. Envision. Sure, there's another word I'm looking for, but it doesn't matter. What I'm saying here is we're going to make sure that Brady Tkachuk gets the bike helmet after this game. I'm going to call it right now. Levy Law, Brady Tkachuk gets the bike helmet after this one. He's got 7 goals and 12 points in 17 career games against Montreal. They also have more penalty minutes against Montreal than any other team, but there's no Shea Weber to beat up anymore. So we'll see if there's any willing combatants, although the guy who hurt Angus Crookshank is in the lineup, a career AHLer who's been making an impact for Montreal. So we don't forget when you hurt a guy who's been on the show. No. Yeah, Mario Ferraro. We haven't forgot about you either, buddy. Shane Pinto hopefully back sooner rather than later. But yeah, I'm locked on Brady Tkachuk. I think it's going to be a real good game for him, and he's been quietly producing, right? Even though it hasn't been as flashy, maybe. Like he had that 2-point night, like since the 2 assist night against Edmonton, he's got 10 points in his last 12 games. So this guy, he's doing his captain shit out there, and I'm expecting a big night. He takes these rivalry games extra serious. So I'm excited to see him and what he's going to accomplish. I say at least he's going to mix it up on the power play too. So that's my hot take of the day here. Who are you looking out for? I guess we should pull up the Montreal Canadiens lines. Nick Suzuki between Cole Caulfield and Josh Anderson. Laurent Dauphin between Mike Hoffman and Brendan Gallagher. It's Evans, Pitlick, and Byron. And Paling between Pizzetta and Arturi Lehkonen. On defense, Brett Kulak, Jeff Petrie, Romanov, and Sherratt. And then Keg with Chris Wideman. And then in goal, we're assuming and hoping it's Andrew Hammond. It could be Samuel Montembeault, who had the shutout last night. Their top scorer is Nick Suzuki with 33 points in 52 games. Put that in perspective. Drake Batherson has 33 points, and he hasn't played in a month and a half. The Habs have a record of 12, 33, and 7, but they are on a 4-game win streak. Pilsy, how do you chalk up this lineup?
Basically, it's very top heavy, right? Like you start looking, even that second line, Ross, doesn't really put a lot of fear into me. Like,
oh, sorry. Can I make a quick correction?
Yes.
Nick Suzuki has one less point than Drake Batherson, and he's played 21 more games.
And just to add on to that, Drake Batherson is making less than $5 million. Nick Suzuki is slated to make more than $7 million in his upcoming contract. Let's just toss that in real quickly. But yeah, like other than that top line, like this Habs team is just so depleted. Like the second line doesn't really worry me that much. And then that bottom six, like that's basically supposed to be their top six in Laval. Like isn't Paling their captain for Laval? I'm pretty sure he is. And then, yeah, Lehkonen, Pezzetta, Pitlick, Evans, like all those guys really aren't standard everyday NHLers. So I really think that the bottom six has a good chance to dominate. And that's why it's a great opportunity to get Colin White in the bottom six here.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that. So when you're looking at the former Senators here, who's most dangerous? Like who are you? We've seen it time and time again where former Senators burn their old team.
Easy answer, Andrew Hammond. I mean, like Chris Wideman, I don't think that's really worked out for the Habs or for him. If you ask me, he should have stayed in the KHL. He won KHL Defenseman of the Year, and he would have got paid handsomely if he would have stayed there, probably.
Hey, add that to his trophy case because he's got an AHL Defenseman of the Year back in his days with Bingo, too.
Yeah, true. So, I mean, I guess he's just looking for that Norris.
Looking for
a Norris. And then Hoffman, like, it hasn't worked out for him, and they overpaid massively for him on a 3-year deal. So, I'm not that worried about him. It's the Hamburglar, because the Hamburglar is at his best when he's kind of counted out and his team is well out of the running, right? So that's when the magic happens. So I'm very nervous if Hammond gets the start.
I'm going to be looking out for Rem Pitlick. Now, he's the son of the first Sens jersey I have ever had, Lance Pitlick, way back in the day, number 2 for the Ottawa Senators. Rem Pitlick is a hilarious dude. I don't know if you've seen that interview he had when he was with Minnesota, when he was a healthy scratch. He goes, I just need to find a way to do what the team wants me to do, but find a way to stay within myself too. And it's important. No doubt. Well, what he's done this year, he has 10 goals on 30 shots this year, Pilsy. That's a pretty decent percentage.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
20 points in 36 games on 30 shots on goal. That's incredible. It really is. So I'm going to be looking out for him. A waiver pickup. He might be battling for best waiver pickup with Adam Gaudette. I'd say Rem probably has a little bit of an advantage on this one too. 9 points. Like why was he even put on waivers? He had 11 points in 20 games with Minnesota.
I mean, that team's just clicking, right? It's hard to find a spot on that roster, on that lineup.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I'm looking out for him. I want to see what this is all about. And I mean, they could maybe potentially even turn a waiver pickup into a 3rd, 4th round pick if they're able to continue to get production out of him. What are your keys to a Senators victory in this one?
Well, I'll just quickly do my lookout player.
Oh, sorry. I thought you did before. My bad.
All good. I mean, I basically did, so I'll just make it official. It's Nick Suzuki. Like, this guy's their top center in their last 3 games. I mean, against Buffalo alone, he had 3 points, and then he had an assist against Toronto and New York Islanders. So he, along with Cole Caulfield, is one of those guys that's getting the Martin St. Louis bump here. And I really do think he's a force to be reckoned with. And I'm so jealous that he's the guy that Montreal got from Vegas and didn't end up working out the same way for Ottawa. But he's someone that now that he's got the green light and he's able to play a little bit more freely, he's going to show what he's made of, and I think you got to look out for him. So I definitely will be tomorrow night.
Okay, that brings me to Erik Brannstrom, and we're getting lots of notes on Twitter right now talking about Erik Brannstrom being out of the lineup. And our boy Laleem's Martian, not afraid to mix it up, just says, hey, what if he's not as good as you think he is? I mean, he's had his opportunity. How do you think he's looked over this last stretch of maybe 10, 12 games since he's been able to move up in the lineup a little?
I mean, one thing to consider too is I think they've really put an emphasis on his defensive play, and I think we've seen improvements there. Like before this season stretch, Ross, where he was in a lot of games, even in the AHL, what was the thing we always got noticed? He's getting absolutely destroyed out on the ice. Like anytime a team wants to dump and chase, toss it over to Branstrom, because as soon as he gets it, you can crush him against the boards. And that was a big issue, even not against the boards. Oh, he was getting hit in the open ice, carrying the puck up. Like we saw him get lit up in Laval when we went to the
God.
season
It's one
opener.
of the biggest
right?
hits I've ever seen.
It was massive, yeah. And so he wasn't able to box out in front of the net. Like, guys were just having their way with him in front of the net and able to bury rebounds because he can't contain them. However, we're not seeing that anymore. And in the NHL, we're seeing him do a much better job of breaking the puck out of the ice. He's really figured out his first pass. I think his first pass has been good. Basically, what I'm getting at here is there's a lot of improvements in his game, but I just don't see how he's going to get the time and opportunities to develop in the player we want him to within this Senator system, because he's already getting leapfrogged a little bit. So I don't know. I can't put a pin on it where I see Erik Brannstrom, because we haven't had him in the right moments for a long enough time, in my opinion. And it might never work out. And that's what I said yesterday. I don't have a problem with Branstrom. I have a problem with Branstrom and the Senators' relationship and how things are going to work out, because I'm not sure it can happen.
To play devil's advocate, though, I mean, he's been averaging 20 minutes a game over his last 19. Like, at what point are you just like, that in itself is opportunity. You have to make the most of it.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. But he's still a young defenseman, right? Like, I think putting a lot of emphasis on defensemen, like, sure, there's outliers that come into the NHL and light it up right away. But I think a lot of guys, you're looking at your 25, 26 year seasons where that's where you've really been comfortable, especially for, and I hate to keep harping on this, but for a smaller stature of defensemen, like, it's just going to be tougher for you to figure it out. And you need more time to ramp up physically to be able to handle these big NHL minutes and the bigger, stronger players. So I don't know what to do with Branstrom. And the problem is he's losing trade value.
He's got none, let's be
daily.
honest.
Like, yeah, there's not much left here. And now to hold on to him and just to have him play as a solid third pair defenseman, I mean,
not even playing. He's going to be eating popcorn
exactly.
tonight. Shane shows all other games in Ottawa. Maybe some Golden Palace egg rolls. No free ads.
Yeah, hey, love those egg rolls.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? Like, we just I don't see a path to success with Branstrom with the Ottawa Senators. And it pains me to say that, because I was a big cheerleader for him for a long time.
I know. He looks so good in Belleville.
He looks so good in Belleville, and the potential's there. I think the Senators need less of him, and he needs more from the Senators. You know what I'm saying with that? Like, the Senators, they don't need him to be that top 4 defenseman now, because they've got Sanderson, they've got Chabot, they've got Zub, and he needs them to need him to be a top 4 center. And maybe that doesn't make sense, but that's the thing. Like, they're just not able to work out a proper opportunity time for him, and I don't know what his future is.
Yeah, me neither. It's sad. I wish it had worked out, but I think at this point, like, the writing's on the wall. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they've tried him on the right side. They've put him on the power play.
But are you suggesting that he's failed?
I mean, that's
the
probably
thing.
a little harsh.
You can't really say that he's failed or that he's succeeded, right?
I'll give him the Logan Brown answer. I think that he's failed in Ottawa, but I don't think his career necessarily is over.
Okay, fair. I would say that's a little harsh, because I don't think he's failed. I think he's done a lot of improvements. He just hasn't been able to reach where the Sens want him to be. Because, yeah, an offensive defenseman, he barely gets pucks on net. He only has a handful of assists. Sure, he looked great quarterback in the power play, but not with a lot of results attached to it. So, I don't know.
Okay, this might be a bit of...
because Logan Brown failed. Like, I think everyone's confident in saying Logan Brown did fail here.
Fair. So in Erik Brannstrom's last 3 seasons, so you take out those 2 games he got right when he got to Ottawa, he's played 82 games. So perfect sample size. He's played 1 full season in the NHL. He has 2 goals, 22 points, minus 11, and he's averaging 16-30, which, I mean, the ice time, that's not even that bad. Now, this is the astounding number. In 82 games, Pills, he has 64 giveaways. That's a high number. Now, I'm not saying that the numbers tell the whole story for it, and there's times, like, he moves pucks. He's a great passer. But what's his B game when that's not going?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, his defense has really improved. Like, I see more to his B game now than there was before. That's for sure. And the thing about that is, yes, you do get an 82 game NHL sample size, but Man, he hasn't had a lot of consistency, right? Like, he missed the training camp last year. He broke his hand. He had COVID things break up his time. So, like, 30 games isn't quite enough for me. And I know that sounds crazy, but like, for a young, small defenseman, I think you need a little more time. But that's just the thing. He's not going to get it. This is his window. And if he's not playing and the coach doesn't think he needs to be a part of this lineup, Jake Sanderson's coming in and he's knocking doors down. And JBD and Lassie Thompson, they're already shoving the door trying to get it open here. So there's just, I don't see him beating out any of those guys at this moment.
Okay, DJ Smith talking right now, and we should also mention that the hysteria might be too soon. By the way, manifest was what I was looking for before. We're manifesting a Brady Tkachuk helmet video tomorrow night. So, Erik Brannstrom was skating in line rushes on D with Josh Norris. Doesn't look good, as though he's going to play.
It's the wrong Josh.
But he was still quarterbacking the second power play unit, not Victor Mete. So, I don't know. Maybe a little gamesmanship heading into the weekend.
Yeah, that's weird. And that's the thing. Like, he should be playing. So maybe he is playing. They're just giving Mete a harder practice. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. We're going to find out pretty soon here. Maybe, do you think, could we see 11-7 on a Saturday night?
No, please no.
The Guy Boucher special?
No, thank you.
Oh, I wish that he had gotten the job in Montreal. Love listening to Guy Boucher talk, but wow, the system got tiring very, very soon. All right, let's touch on Belleville, and then if DJ Smith has any more notes, he's talking to the media as we speak right now on Friday morning. We'll pass that info along with you, but these are huge games in Laval, a barn that hasn't been friendly to them this year. We saw that firsthand. It's a NHL style rink. Like, it is top of the state of the art is the word that I'm looking for there. But when it comes to this weekend, what would be a success? 1 point, Pillsy?
No, that would not be a success. That, like, there isn't any more important games for the Belleville Senators than the Laval Rocket. Like, these games have to be utmost importance. And, like, it's nice that Montreal's in the position they are. Like, they're so injured. They're shipping guys out. So a lot of these AHL talent have to move up. So the success they were having earlier in the year, they might not be able to do that without the depth that they had as a luxury down there. So I really think you got to get 4 points here. Like, this is so crucial. Whoa. Yeah, tonight's game and Saturday afternoon's game are massive for this because Laval still has games in hand, and the AHL goes by points percentage, not just total points. So they need to win both of these games. At the very least, they need 3 points. And I hope I'm not mushing them now. I'm not saying that's what I want to happen, or I'm not inflicting any of my opinion on this. I'm just emphasizing the importance of these two games. And the Belleville Senators, they can get it done for sure. And I'm curious to see what's up with MDZ, because he hadn't played in the last couple of games here.
Just got his economics degree from Stanford, though, if you're looking at his Instagram. This guy is doing everything but play hockey.
I thought you were kidding.
No, I'm not.
Wow,
no.
That is, hey, congrats.
Yeah, life after hockey, for sure. But
life during hockey.
Okay, last thing on Belleville, but we do have an interesting note on Colin White. I'll leave that as a little tease here. Who's the one player that you're hoping, if Belleville has success this weekend, that he'll be a big part of it?
I mean, I wanted to say Jake Lucchini off the top, but all jokes aside, I think we need to see Roby Jarventi getting going here. Like,
that's exactly where I was leaning.
Yeah, because this, and Ian Mendes mentioned in his article, like, Tim Stützle moving over to center, that opens a door for Roby Jarventi to maybe look, hey, there's a possible spot left wing on that second line, and if he can get things going, he could be a guy that could play with Tim Stützle. So he needs to start showing that he can get some consistency down in the AHL level, and that could go a long way for him, because there's really, like, no Vitaly Abramov, no Schlappick. Like, there's none of these guys creating that logjam anymore on that left wing side. So the door is there for Jarventi to take it, and I want to see him really ramp it up here.
For me, it's his former and still current teammate, Lassie Thompson, because after being reassigned from Ottawa, he had a 5-game point streak where he had 9 points in those 5 games. But since No points, -3 last weekend against Syracuse. So I want to see him get back to his scoring ways, put up a little offensive numbers, maybe a Tom bomb or two. And I think that if that's what we get, then they will have success. We're not sure what happened with Mad Sogard. He wasn't backing up in the last game, but Kevin Mandolese played unbelievable. So we're looking forward to seeing him potentially get back in action today. Okay, final note here as we go into the weekend. Again, thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on a Friday, and we know everyone's feeling good on a Friday, so why not go and subscribe to the Locked On Senators YouTube page? It takes 2 seconds. It's absolutely free, and it goes a long way for us. The thumbs up as well. Comment. Let us know what you think. Yesterday, we put it the question, which RFA would you most like to go after? So comment. Let us know who you would like and what the cost could be for that. Now, we saw Colin White will be centering the fourth line, but DJ Smith confirms that he's going to see some shifts at right wing alongside Stützle and Tkachuk.
Interesting. Yeah. And the most interesting thing with that, Ross, is he going to start there or work his way up there? So that'll be an interesting note to take a look at. And hey, Colin White, this is a guy that deserves an opportunity as well. It's like he's had a lot of bad luck with injuries, even when he's been playing. I think last season when he was playing, you could tell he was banged up still. Like he wasn't fully healthy. There was something going on there. So I really hope he gets a good opportunity here because, that buyout asterisk, that special clause since he's under 26, that holds a lot of weight, a lot of meaning. So he needs to show that he's worth looking around, or at least worth the Sens hoping he can reach that potential.
Yeah, that's a lofty bar, making $4.75 million, but we'll see if he can do it.
He's basically Batherson's contract. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, the footsteps aren't too close, as DJ Smith confirms that Shane Pinto, who skated today, is a lot further back than the rest of the group in terms of his return from injury. I don't know if we're going to see him play again this year, Pilsy.
But what if Belleville makes playoffs? How do you feel about that?
Sure, get him in.
Imagine him and Crooker back for playoffs. Ooh!
Mix in a little Sanderson, too.
Let's go.
Yeah, could be good. All right, we haven't heard from DJ Smith anything about Branstrom. I'm assuming he will say that decision will be tomorrow. So when that decision is made, you can head on over to @SensCentral on Twitter, and also @SensCentral. You can hit notifications on to know whenever we decide to tweet something. And hopefully it's a good update when it comes to the lineup tomorrow, and maybe we'll even see the Hamburglar. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.